Hi, this is Scott Cartwright again, and I'm really excited to present this information to you. Information researched by Dr. Rudy Cartwright, the MS Health Coach, on the foods you need to eat and the foods you need to avoid, and let you know how a Navy pilot turned brain surgeon stumbled upon the missing link to helping you get rid of your fatigue, balance, bowel and bladder, vision, pain, and sexual problems so you can stop going downhill and get back to doing all the things you used to love doing. Right about now, you're feeling pretty hopeless. You desperately want to get rid of your fatigue, balance, bowel and bladder, vision, pain, and sexual problems, not to mention your brain fog and depression, but you feel like you're getting worse. Plus, everything MS related is so unpredictable. You never know when your energy level is going to drop like a rock. You never know when you're going to get a good night's sleep. You never know when you'll get to hang out with your friends or play with your kids, and it sucks. Well, it doesn't have to be that way because in this video presentation, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to get rid of your MS symptoms. And best of all, I'll explain everything to you in a way you can understand. Now, sorry to be so blunt about this, but you need to hear this sooner than later. If you're like 99.7% of the people out there with multiple sclerosis, what you're currently doing about your MS is not going to help you get better. You're basically going down the wrong road. You're still getting worse, right? And no one has ever set you down and told you exactly what you need to be doing. Well, let's change all that starting right now. Here are the foods to eat and avoid to help get rid of your MS symptoms. First, let's start with the foods to avoid. And the first thing is soda pop. And that's because soft drinks contain an ingredient called benzoate as a preservative, and they have these in them. If you look on the can, you'll see them called sodium benzoate or potassium benzoate or calcium benzoate. And the problem with the benzoate is that in the presence of ascorbic acid, which is also found in the soda pops, that turns the benzoate into benzene. And what's wrong with benzene? Well, benzene causes problems in your bone marrow and it causes problems with your immune system. And when you have multiple sclerosis, the last thing you want to do is eat or drink anything that can cause problems with your immune system. The next thing that you want to avoid is calcium, and what I'm talking about here is extra calcium supplementation. So calcium you get in your food is fine, but taking extra calcium is not good for you. You'll see the journal articles that this information comes from. It's in black, and the main points from the articles are in blue. The first one states that calcium is critically important in many functions of the nervous system. The next one says that calcium can play a critical role in cell killing in the central nervous system. And the third one says that calcium overload leads to a structural and functional axonal injury. And as you know, the axon is the long extension of the cell that transmits the electrical current, and when you have MS, those electrical currents and that part of the cell are already damaged, and extra calcium can cause additional damage to the axons, and you do not want that. Additionally, when you take too much calcium, you'll see in this first article here that studies suggest that there's a 64% increased risk of hip fracture with high doses of calcium supplementation, and so that's taking 800 to 1200 milligrams of calcium per day. And in the last article, it shows the results of trials from calcium supplementation where there's an increased risk of heart attack, 27 to 31%, and an increase in risk of stroke from 12% to 20%. So we definitely don't want you taking extra calcium so that you can avoid these problems. And now you must be asking yourself, okay, so I know some of the things to avoid. Now what do I need to eat so I can jumpstart my recovery? The problem is you don't know where or who to turn to for help. You're out there looking for help on the internet, but half the stuff you can't understand and you don't trust the other half. And you're tired of going to see your doctor, spending 15 minutes with him or her, and then you're sent out to go get another prescription filled, and it's probably a prescription for the same drug you've been taking that isn't working. You feel all alone, and you feel like no one understands what you're going through, especially your doctor. And this is why you're out there on the internet looking for something, anything that can help you feel better. Well, let me tell you the foods you need to start eating right now to get rid of your MS symptoms as quickly as possible. Now, the first thing you need to make sure you get in your diet every day is potatoes, and that's because potatoes have catalase in them. Now, This slide shows where Dr. Rudy Cartwright, the MS Health coach, got his research information from. At the very top of the slide, you'll see the name of the journal where the information came from. The second section gives the journal article name itself, and the third section gives the name of the researchers. And what this journal article tells is that catalase reversed the disruption in the blood-brain barrier. And what the blood-brain barrier is, it's like a master filter. And what it's designed to do is to let the good things pass through and keep the bad things out. And catalase, when you have MS, there's a problem with your blood-brain barrier, and what catalase does is it takes care of the problem with the blood-brain barrier that you probably have. Catalase also helps reduce the demyelination. You know, demyelination when you have MS is the main problem because the covering, the protective covering of the axon comes off. It's like the covering of a sheath or of an electrical cable. When that comes off, the signals can't travel like they're supposed to travel, and things go haywire, and that's why you're feeling tired and you have balance problems and bowel and bladder issues. All kinds of things go on when the myelin comes off of the covering of the axon. And so catalase helps reduce that demyelination. The next thing you need to make sure you get in your diet every day is onions, and that's because onions have quercetin in them. And what quercetin does is quercetin is an anti-inflammatory. So inflammation is a problem when you have MS. Inflammation is just what it sounds like. You hit your finger with a hammer, for example, it gets swollen, it gets inflamed. Well, that inflammation is taking place inside your body, and it's causing a lot of the symptoms that you have with your MS. And so what quercetin does is it helps keep that inflammation under control, helps keep it to a minimum. Quercetin also helps the mitochondria make energy, and the mitochondria are the power plants of the cell. They are what help the cell make energy. It's like a little engine in there, and they run and run and run and make energy. And so quercetin helps that engine make more and make better energy. Quercetin also helps you, it's as if you were exercising without exercising, because it says here that quercetin increases the fitness, but you don't have to do any exercise training, and that's a great thing when you have MS and you're concerned about fatigue. And quercetin also helps keep down this viral activity that's found in all of us. You probably have had chickenpox or other viruses. We all do. We have them in our body. They're laying dormant. Sometimes they rear their ugly head, and what quercetin does is it helps keep their ugly head down, because when they start to pop up their head, that can be some of the things that cause and contribute to your symptoms kicking up, your relapses, your exacerbations. They can all be caused by these viruses coming up when they need to be kept down, and quercetin keeps them down. The other thing that you need to make sure you get every day is asparagus, because asparagus has glutathione in it. And what glutathione does is it helps protect the cell from oxidative and toxic stress. And what that oxidative and toxic stress is, I mentioned to you before about the engine, the power plants of the cells. The cells are in there doing their job, and when they do their job, they kick off a byproduct. It's like the waste, the bad stuff that's kicked off when they're doing their job, and when that gets to high levels, it can be toxic to the cells. And so glutathione protects the cells from all the stress and from the toxic things that are damaging the cell. Glutathione also, when you don't have enough glutathione in your system, it can cause the damage of the power plant, that mitochondria, the engine. When you don't have enough, it leads to damage of the engine, and glutathione helps to prevent that. When you add glutathione in there, you prevent that deficiency. The next thing you need to make sure you get in your diet every day is fish, and that's because fish have niacin in it, also called niacinamide, also called nicotinamide. All three of those things are the same thing, and they are found in fish. And what that nicotinamide does is, if you're having vision problems, nicotinamide helps protect the seeing part of the eye, the rods in the cone. It helps keep them from getting damaged. Nicotinamide also helps the mitochondria, so that's the engine of the cell. It helps them make energy. You're having fatigue problems or even muscle weakness, energy is what you need, and nicotinamide helps the mitochondria make more energy. The other thing you need to make sure you get in your diet every day is green tea, and that's because green tea has catechin in it. And what catechin does is it helps the eye from any damage and any retinal damage in particular. And that's because there's something in your body called glutamate. There's glutamate is produced when there's too much calcium in your body, or when you eat some bad stuff called MSG, monosodium glutamate. That glutamate is toxic, is poisonous to the retina, and what catechin does is that it helps reverse the effects that the glutamate is having on your retina and on your eyes. The next thing you need to make sure you get is bok choy. And the reason why is because bok choy has cysteine in it. And what cysteine does is cysteine helps your cells, helps your muscles, helps your body. As I mentioned before, oxidative stress is one of the things that it causes problems in your body. That oxidative stress causes your muscles to become very fatigued. And what cysteine does is, if you have cysteine in your body, it can improve the performance of your muscles, helping out with your fatigue if you have that cysteine in your body before you do any strenuous activity. So strenuous activity for you may just be walking and maybe going shopping, playing with your kids, but if you have the cysteine in your body ahead of time, it can improve the muscle performance when you're doing those activities. The other thing, make sure you can get as much as you can of, is oranges, and that's because oranges have hesperidin in them. And what hesperidin helps with is bladder and bowel issues. You probably are having some bladder incontinence where you go to the bathroom on yourself, bowel incontinence where you go to the bathroom on yourself, and you may feel like you have to go to the bathroom all the time, frequency and urgency. If you have these problems, hesperidin will help, because hesperidin helps prevent the inflammation in the colon. I talked to you before about what inflammation is, and when your colon is inflamed, it's causing these problems. It can cause these problems, and hesperidin will help with that. So now you must be asking, how can I start getting all these nutrients and supplements now so I can get back to doing all the things I used to love doing? Well, let me tell you about the nutritional supplement formulated by Dr. Rudy Cartwright, the MS coach, and he designed it to help you get rid of your MS symptoms. It's called The Essentials, and it's designed to strengthen your health side. We believe that health and disease exist side by side, and when you have MS, your disease side is stronger than your health side. Well, what the Essentials helps do is boost up your health side so it can keep your disease side under control. Everything should be in balance, but when you have MS, that balance is not there. The disease side is stronger, and what we want to do is make the health side stronger. So what the Essentials has in them is it has catalase, quercetin, glutathione, niacin, catechin, cysteine, and hesperidin, all the things that we went over previously. All of those things are in the Essentials. And if you were to try to get the same amount of potatoes, for example, because the potatoes have catalase in them, the same amount that you'd get in your daily dose of the Essentials, you would have to eat over 111 potatoes just to get that same amount of catalase in them. If you were to try to get the same amount of quercetin that's in the Essentials from the onions that we talked about, you'd have to eat 3 onions every day just to get the same amount that's in one dose of the Essentials. If we're talking about asparagus and the glutathione there and all the good things that glutathione does for you, you'd have to eat 18 bunches of asparagus, and that each bunch has about 12 stems and stalks of asparagus in that. 18 of those just to equal the daily dose of glutathione that's in the Essentials. Niacin, same thing. You'd have to eat at least 2 servings of fish just to get the same amount of niacin that's in one dose of the Essentials. Catechin, 3 glasses of tea. So you can see that the Essentials has all of these things in a concentrated, condensed formula for you so that you don't have to go out and try to get this amount of catechin or glutathione or catalase. You don't have to try to get all that because you can get it in one dose of the Essentials. Now, how much do you think getting a supplement that has all the ingredients in it that will help get rid of your MS symptoms will cost you? Well, hold on before you answer. Let me tell you about a bonus you'll get when you get the Essentials. You'll get instant access to a 2.5-hour question and answer call we did with a small group of private students. The students asked us every question under the sun for 2.5 hours, and the recordings of this marathon call is yours just for trying out the Essentials. I can almost guarantee that one, if not several, of your questions will be answered during this private Q&A session. We also do ongoing question and answer sessions where we get students on the phone and or computer and answer your questions. This means you'll get all your questions answered. Now, what's the bottom line for the essentials? How much does it cost? The essentials cost $69.95 plus $8.95 shipping and handling. And that's per month because you're signing up for a monthly subscription, which equals $78.90. But we have a fast action bonus for you since you're an action taker, and we always like to reward action takers. And that's by you. What you'll get is access and membership in the Essentials VIP Club, and that gives you a $30 scholarship every month. So what that does is it brings the price down to just $39.95 plus $8.95 shipping and handling every month, as I mentioned before. So that brings the price to $48.90. Now we have a guarantee with this, and that guarantee is that you will get better, or we'll give you a free health consultation, and that has a value of $497. The bonuses that with it, like I said before, is the Essentials Commitment Q&A webinar, and that's $97, so the total value of the bonus is $97. You're going to get the essentials, you're going to get membership in our VIP club, you're going to get the 2.5-hour question and answer session, and access to upcoming Q&A webinars. So what you need to do now is scroll down, click the Get Started button so you can start taking the essentials. Now, let me tell you what some of our current clients are saying. The first one says, I ended up kind of giving into the MS and started using a wheelchair. But since I found out about you and using gluten-free food and dairy-free products and all the information that you have supplied well in using vitamin D3, 5,000 international units, and the essentials tablets that you have supplied, I can honestly say that my life has turned around. I have no fatigue and I'm getting stronger, and I do have you on a pedestal, Dr. Cartwright. You have seriously proved my consultant wrong, because when he realized how much I've improved and why I've shown him why I have shown him my essentials bottle, he was very impressed and he told me to keep taking them. The next one says, "Hi, I just wanted to let you know that after taking the essentials tablets now for only 2 months, I feel stronger, more balanced, less foggy head, and generally much better than I have since I was diagnosed with MS in January 2010. I do have times when my head feels dizzy and I need to be careful when I look up or just sitting down on the sofa and relaxing my head back. Maybe you can suggest something for the dizziness." Well, that's something that we're actually working on. The next one says, "Hi, Scott Cartwright and Dr. Rudy Cartwright. I am so sorry I was out when you called the other day. I wanted to speak to you personally about any upcoming events like webinars or information about MS. About the essentials, I told you when I take the essentials I get a small burst of energy, and the same with my strength. It lasts about an hour. I am starting to walk a little further from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and I'm putting it down to the essentials. So in all, I'm happy." The last one, "Hi, Dr. Cartwright. It has only been 1 week since I began taking the supplements you sent me on the Primary Progressive program. Already I can feel a difference in my energy level, ability to stand for longer periods of time, get more accomplished, and a brighter, even more positive outlook than previously experienced." Now, I know you're probably sitting there thinking about all the other things you've tried in the past and wondering if the essentials will really work, or is it just a scam? Well, Dr. Cartwright is a medical doctor with over 40 years of experience, and I have a master's degree in public health, and both our reputations are on the line here. And you better believe we're not going to mess that up over some silly scam. We're not in the business of taking your money. We're in the business of helping you get rid of your MS symptoms. So if you commit to taking the essentials for at least 4 months, and if you don't start feeling better than you have in years, we'll gladly jump on the phone with you and give you a free MS health consultation, which has a $497 value. So we can tell you some extra things you can do to get rid of your MS symptoms. And don't forget, you can cancel your subscription at any time. No questions asked. So listen. I've told you about all the great things that are in the essentials. You've read the testimonials from other MS recoverers who have less fatigue, less balance problems, less pain, tingling, and numbness. And I've told you about our ironclad, no questions asked, you will feel better guarantee. I don't want there to be any excuses for you not getting rid of your MS symptoms. So what you need to do now is scroll down, click the Get Started button, and get the essentials. Here's the deal. What it comes down to is that you really have just 3 choices. First, you could do nothing and let your MS symptoms continue to get worse and worse until you're no longer able to do anything. Second, you could do all the shopping and cooking and try to get all the right foods and supplements in your diet on a daily basis. Or third, you could take charge of your own life, save yourself hours and hours of preparation time, not to mention how much it costs to buy everything, and get everything you need in a convenient, easy-to-take pill that was created by a doctor who has helped hundreds of others with MS, just like you, get rid of their MS fatigue, stop their pain, tingling, and numbness, clear up their brain fog and depression, and get back to doing all the things they used to love doing. Let's be honest. You wouldn't still be watching this video right now if you were happy with your current health situation. So let me ask you this. If you don't get the essentials right now, how will tomorrow be any different than today? It won't. You're still going to be unhappy. So why not start changing things today? What if you get just a little bit better? Wouldn't it all be worth it? So what you need to do now is scroll down, click the Get Started button, and get the essentials. If your gut is telling you the essentials is right for you, you should listen to it. It rarely steers you wrong. So thanks so much for checking out my presentation. I had a great time making it for you. We look forward to working with you to get rid of your MS symptoms, and here's to your health.